Welcome back to Out of Left Field, presented by the Lehigh Valley Health Network. Standard Speaker Sports Editor Dave Seamon joins us now on Out of Left Field. We're going to talk about some local sports. We're starting with local football. Dave, North Schuylkill, another good season going for the Spartans. They're in contention for a Schuylkill Colonial Division Championship. And Joey Flail, wide receiver for them, just reached recently 100 receptions in his career, having a great season for the Spartans. You talked with him recently, so you can look for Dave's feature story in the Standard Speaker coming up and at standardspeaker.com. But when you did get to do a story on Joey and as you watch him this season being a difference maker for that North Schuylkill offense in a tough division, what did you take away from it?
Well, I just think that, he was one of the guys that came back from last year and the year before that too. The Spartans obviously had a lot of success. Jake Hall was the quarterback last year. This year they had a transition to a new quarterback and Trevor Minalda. A little stumble in their first game against a powerhouse in Mount Carmel, but they bounced back. And you have guys like Joey Flail, at the center of the offense. That's a nice piece to have.
Yeah, so look out for Dave's feature story on him. Dave, also in that Schuylkill Colonial League, in the blue division, we have Marion and Monoy area. They're battling for playoff spots in the district. Marion's look good, bouncing back when we did our preview this year, talking with head coach Dan DeCosti. Very impressed with that offensive line. They had some players, they had some size. They're getting it done on the ground, and then they're making some plays. Marion looking good.
Yeah, they're a team that's getting used to playing. A lot of these players, when they first came on the scene a few years ago, really didn't play any varsity. They didn't have any varsity experience, so really had to train them how to play the game of football and to do it at the high school level. And that first year back in 2020, the COVID year, Marion was playing teams like Jim Thorpe, a couple classes above them too. And, it didn't go very well. Going to last year, it didn't go well it didn't go as well. But then at the end of last year, the Colts won their last 4 games, and I kind of set the tone for this season, gave the Colts a little bit of momentum going into the season. They've shown that they could play with some teams. They move the ball on some teams. They've been able to stop some teams. They won some real close games, which is a sign of a growing team. You get the confidence, again, going back to the end of last year, and they set themselves up to make a run at the playoffs this time.
Dave, perhaps you could help me here. So Matt Martin's there, big-time running back, correct? And he's been good a few seasons now. Now, in the most recent game, as we were recording this, there was another running back behind him that I read about in the Standard Speaker who got some good carries, who was able to make a difference in that game. So all of a sudden, it looks like depth is coming up for Marion as well in the program.
Yeah, they're getting used to playing at the varsity level. You may be referring to Jaden Fermin.
I believe so.
Yes, he's a junior this year, and again, a kid who really didn't play any varsity football until he came onto the scene last season. And you get experience, and you might take your looks in the beginning, but eventually it's going to pay off. And right now the Colts are reaping those benefits.
Dave, coming up after your segment here on Out of Left Field, we're going to talk with Matthew Casadas, a star athlete at the Hazelton Area High School, great football player. And the Cougars, Dave, started out really hot to this football season. They dropped some games in the middle. Steve Stallone, who's been covering the team for the Standard Speaker, had a great article recently about how there's still a lot to play for this Cougar team.
Yeah, I mean, you go into a stretch there where they thought that was going to be their statement and their defining part of their season. And it didn't go well against Dallas and Crestwood, and Dennis would be the first one to tell you that. For whatever reason, and let's face it, those teams are pretty good as well. So I mean, you got to give your credit to the opponents. You lick your wounds and you get back on a saddle. For the first reason is you only have so many high school games to play, and second, like you said, there's a lot to play for the Cougars. They're right now they're in a sub-region with District 11, which is going to be very tough. They make that playoff group, then you're playing teams from the Lehigh Valley, traditional powers. You look at that, and the opportunity to play those kind of teams in a playoff setting, it should be something that the Cougars should strive for, and they're on their way to doing that.
And they still should feel like they can hang with anybody. Like, this is a very, very good Hazelton area football team. Playoff season is approaching, Dave. One team who a lot of Hazelton teams made history last year. One of them, the boys water polo team, getting into the state playoffs for the very first time, looking strong again this year. Logan Yakubowski seems like he's been there forever, Dave, helping out that program.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Logan coming up as a young kid, being at the pool. His mother, obviously, Michelle, has been the coach at the swimming program and water polo program. So she'd always have Logan and his younger brother Landon at her side all the time, and they grew up around the pool, and Logan's a standout athlete. I mean, he hurt his knee couldn't play baseball last year, and he was one of the kids I got a chance to talk to during baseball season last year. I had a lot of fun conversations with him while I was covering games last year. And
so in the dugout there, were you guys just hanging out?
No, we're just hanging out. Logan's a standout athlete, and he's back this year. Somebody like Chris Catrone, another standout athlete. He had that experience last year, and they have that taste of winning. Timmy Deutsch, another kid last year that was really, really good last year for the Cougars. So they're going to go into the end of the season with a lot of confidence, and who knows, maybe they'll make a state playoff tournament again.
You mentioned that Hazleton area high school baseball team. How about on the soccer team this year, Dave? They're coming on really strong later in the season here. They won their first district championship last year as well. And all of a sudden, Grant Russo, star on the baseball team, decides he's going to play soccer this fall. First time in years for him, I think, since youth soccer. And he's made a huge impact for the Hazleton area Cougars.
Yeah, he's just one of those Energizer Bunny type of athletes. He put him in anything, and his motor is always going to, and always a smile on his face, and he enjoys playing the game too. And you wonder how soccer was going to, how he was going to fit onto the soccer team. But I knew whatever sport he decided to go, and he said he wanted to play a sport this fall. And when we interviewed him a few weeks ago for our Athlete of the Week, he said that, it's been a smooth transition for him, and he's enjoying it. And he's a great fit for the Cougars too. A team that lost some pieces from that district championship team, but there's enough back there for them to make another run. And with him in the middle there, running up and down the field, it's hard to keep up with him.
Gavin Huey told me, great goal scorer, great soccer player for Hazleton area, and he told me this year he is really learning about becoming a leader. You mentioned they lost some pieces from the team last year. It took them a while to come together. He said they changed formations. Now that they're all on the same page, I think it speaks to not only their talent, but also leadership like Gavin has, helping the Cougars be successful as they get ready to make a run in the district playoffs. Dave, Hazleton area field hockey as well, winning their first district championship last season with Mary Kelly. They play that really tough schedule, but they can also make another run as we approach district playoffs.
Yeah, like you said, that schedule is really going to benefit them in the long run. Up and down to start the season, another team that lost some key ingredients from that team last season. But there are enough players that tasted it last year, and once you get that taste, you always want to go back to the table, so to speak. You know what it's like, and it's that feeling. They know how many times they were denied that title too. They came so close, so many years, and then to finally win it last year was like a big burden lifted off them. But and they came into this season with the confidence. Didn't go that well in the beginning of the season, but once they got a couple wins, they strung some together, played some really good teams tough, and they're going to be in position as well to make a run in the district tournament.
When we come back on Out of Left Field, Matthew Casadas, Dave, a few years ago he mentioned to me that he likes cooking, and then in another interview I said, what are you making? And he said, I just made Cinnamon Toast Crunch French toast, and for years I've said, let's do a cooking segment together. Head coach Dennis Bookman helped make that happen. We're going inside Matthew's kitchen when we come back on Out of Left Field.